Comedy Mushroom Cole podcast up in this MFN BIULDING. Yeah, I spelled it wrong, and I realized it after I said the wrong letter. Sometimes you mix up your vowels, alright? It's gonna happen. I know how to spell building. I'm not gonna respell it to prove to you that I know how to spell building, but just know that I spelled it wrong, alright? We're just kicking. We're rocking. We're rolling. We're trying to open up this delectable Vietnamese coffee. I'm not going to say the name of the brand. It'll probably show up. They don't sponsor us. If you want to sponsor us, that'd be great. Give us some sponsorships. Join the Patreon. Share it with people. Whatever. Just give me money for your thing. But these are delicious. If you're not careful and you have like a dairy tummy, you'll get the ones that like aren't oat milk. So like make sure that you get the oat milk ones. Even if you don't have an aversion to dairy, the food pyramid has too big of a hold on the dairy industry. There we go. Has too much of a hold on the food pyramid, and it's gone too far. We need to take it back. But I'm gonna take a sip of this Vietnamese coffee. Oaty, cinnamony. It's so good. There's a Vietnamese coffee joint around the corner from here. It's not around the corner. It's like 3/4 of a mile, which is basically around the corner. It's one of those like very funny, like what you do in the city versus what you do in the suburbs. Like, there was probably, we could have walked to a bunch of places when we lived in Waukesha, that were within the same amount of walking, as like the Target that we walk to now. Like we just started walking to, when we moved from Waukesha, and it was the same amount of like the Target in Waukesha was the same amount of distance as the one that we walked to here, and I would always drive it. So it's one of those like shout out cities for being more walkable because you don't have to like cross a big like fucking highway and whatnot. 2.5 minutes made it half of the time that we need to make it into the fucking podcast. We're working on it. We're getting the algos straightened out. Is what I say, but I'm doing nothing to do it. I'm just like saying that I'm getting the algos figured out because I think that that's like part of what it is that tricks the system. Because like I don't think anything really works on it. Especially if you like know too much. And I don't think that I don't know too much, but I know too much for the internet, if that makes sense. Like what's the thing? Like when you learn something new or when you're doing something and somebody's like, do you know anything about, I don't know, there's fucking cars. Like, do you know anything about changing oil? Like enough to be dangerous. Like that's what, like it's, you don't know anything, but like you know that you don't know it, but like you know enough where like if you tried to do it, you would fuck something up. So like I think that's me with the internet and like actual any sort of like influence over anything is like I know that I don't know enough, where I think a lot of people think that they know things when they don't. Like they've fooled themselves. Self-awareness is the problem. Like being aware of what's going on and your faults and whatnot isn't enough. But we're not here to talk about fault lines and what are we doing? I gotta stop, like, I understand that ADHD is a real thing. And I understand that, like, the point of comedy is to make connections between two things that, like, shouldn't make any sense, but, like, humorously do. Like, fault and fault line have nothing to do with each other, but, like, it's a fun thing to say. And then I could say, oh, earthquakes. But then to, like, get that, like, to bridge that gap between going from, oh, I know my faults, to fault lines, to earthquake, to anything after that. Like, you'd have to think that people can make that intuitive leap. And half the time, I don't even know how that they're connected, so I don't know why I expect other people to follow along. Like, I guess sometimes just the shock value of like, oh, faults to fault lines. That's like a weird connection. I think that gets a clap every once in a while, maybe like a little laugh. Speaking of little things, I do have a little weedy over here. I don't know if he'll show up in the framing of the camera, but he's here on the heating pad. That's our new thing. I hurt my shoulder back 2 weeks ago, and like we're finally at like fighting movement here. I lifted on it last week, and I think that was a mistake. So tomorrow we're gonna be back at it. But man, will it really mess up your life? Like it's a problem. And like now I'm really just like figuring out ways to like heal like minor injuries that happen now that I'm old enough. I think I went over this in the last podcast. I'm having like a real wonky memory over the last few days. I started working. I know that this hasn't happened. I started working. I got a job. Oat milk sang. Vietnamese coffee, Saigon cinnamon oat milk latte, 150 milligrams of caffeine. See, that could be your ad. I could sell the fuck out of it. But especially if I know like any small business entrepreneurs, like people who run coffee shops. I don't know if you listen to the podcast, but you should do it. Anybody who runs like a bead company, maybe. People I know who listen to the podcast. If you have a TikTok that you want to take off and want a bump of 15 to 20 people checking it out, throw some money at me. We can work some deals out. I've got the voice, and I can make it sound like I super care. But no, it's I got a job now. And it's very fun. It's fun being back into like the mix of society and not just like talking to myself and cats all day. Like obviously fuck corporations and fuck office places and like the whole like workplace industrial complex kind of setup, the work-life balance industrial complex, where like I understand that working from home is easier on paper and like you don't need somebody watching you the entire time, which is like why they want you in the office. But like human interaction is kind of important, especially human interaction where you can't just say whatever the fuck you want. Like I think it's better for our brains, especially like me and possibly like other comics to like, yeah, I'm like feral. Like I can't do like a normal conversation with normal people, and like having a workplace where you have to deal with like other employees and like God forbid customers of any sort. But like the biggest thing is like dealing with employees and like other employees and coworkers is the word I was looking for, and like managements and like people's like conversational styles, and like it's very cool to like see different people's walks of life through it, because it gives you like a purpose. And I mean I have my purpose of like telling jokes and saying words and like being goofy and whatnot and being silly and spreading happiness and all that other bullshit that like keeps me going. But like, hey, I have to be somewhere by 10, or like at worst or at best I'm gonna get like a talking to, and like you don't want to do that. Like it's good to have like inconveniences to like make you get shit moving. Like what's the line that I've seen, like you're going the right way in a video game when like you see attackers coming at you, or like when the music gets all crazy. Like that's how you know you're heading in the right direction, is when you're getting some friction against you, right? Like that sort of thing. But it's all like working at home, like I'm in charge of supervising myself, and I don't think I could do that. And also like fuck wasting gas, and like landlords making money because we have to go places and then telling you how to dress and whatnot, and like all that other bullshit. Like that's stupid. Like you don't need to do that. If you're like filling out Excel sheets all day, like doing data entry or fucking customer service. Like when I worked at Generac making generators, I didn't make generators, I was selling generators. I was selling a program is what they would say to you. Like shit like that. Like you don't need to be in the office for that. Like you're making phone calls that are based out of your computer anyway, so you can do that anywhere. Is it helpful to like be there so like you can like walk over to somebody's desk and you don't have to like chat with them or call them and like hope they're there? Sure, that's easier. But like so many things you don't need people around you to do. So it's like very dumb. Like, and even if like you have kids or something and you don't want like you want to work from home because of shit like that, or like you're doing data entry and bullshit, like why, who cares where you do that? Like you can do that, go to North Korea and do that and like send your data back over. It doesn't fucking matter. But like you miss out on that like weird like interaction with other people, and work like invades your home life now. Like you have to like you're never leaving. That's why third spaces are so important. Like your home's supposed to be your first place. I think work is like a second place, and then like a third space is like a place to like go do things that's not your home, but like not work, but like you get stuff done there. And it's like, all right, cool. So like we made more like to save us from having to go to an office for 8 hours a day. We've made other like coffee shops are supposed to be your office now, and it's like, sure. But also, like, does their infrastructure have it set up for you to be using their Wi-Fi all the time? Like the coffee shop that's down the street from us here, they like people will like camp out and work there all day, and it's like, sure, you could do that, but like then they start getting like a weird like I'm here every day, so I should, yeah, but like you buy like you buy one coffee and then you get like 4 refills throughout the day, and like you'll maybe get a sandwich at lunch. So like you're spending $20 a day and you don't tip well. Like that would annoy me when I worked at the coffee shop. Is like people would do that. Like they come in, they won't tip well. There was one guy, his name was fucking Chris. He runs a bar in Milwaukee. When I worked at Colectivo in Milwaukee, we're just calling motherfuckers out. I don't remember his last name, or otherwise I would give his last name out. But he was there every day. Would never would always pay with his phone. Would never tip, and then he would put like 100 in the tip jar, like once a month. And like he would be there every day, and would come up and like get multiple drinks and get like sandwiches and shit like that. So like he's spending, I don't know, $20-$30 a day, at least 5 days a week. So that's like $150. 20% of that is, I don't know, whatever it is. Like he wasn't, for how much he was like up there and like bugging us and like doing stuff, and like he would like ask us for favors and like, hey, is there any way that like you could like, I don't know, like I could borrow a pen, or could you like print this out for me? My printer's not working. Or like, hey, the Wi-Fi's not working. Like, okay, cool. Like I'm not your IT person. You're in a bit, like the internet's down, sorry. Like, oh, well I have to go somewhere else to do. Okay, cool. We're not your fucking office. Like you're like making other people have to cater to these people instead of just like the business paying for an office space. Like you own a building. Like go work there. But I don't know. It's nice to be it's nice to like have to go somewhere and like, oh, I have to deal with traffic to get to the fucking Soldier Field, and I have to like park, and then I have to, and it's a beautiful walk. I'm not even complaining about it, and it's one of those like, hey, things work out the way they're supposed to work out kind of ways, because it's like, yeah, man, I fucking walk to like I park at like the south parking deck, and then like walk by an NFL stadium in like a beautiful park in one of the best cities in the world, and then I just like go in the building and then like work in the suites, and my job is overlooking an NFL field, and then on the outside of it the view is like the fucking lake or downtown Chicago. Like it's awesome. And I'm sure other people's jobs suck there. Like during an event last week, one of the chefs stabbed another one or sliced them. Like that's gonna happen. I mean, you're dealing with a bunch of different people, and crazy shit can happen. So like that's not ideal when you have to deal with other people, but like I don't know, you need that mix in life. Like we're all so sheltered, and like even just like walking to like, and I do it too. I'm not like anything. I'm not, again, I'm the biggest hypocrite of all time. Like just walking, like taking public transportation. Like you're physically bumping into people, but like you have like your headphones in and like you're staring down. Like even though you're physically running into people, that's like an isolating thing where like in a workplace, and you don't have to, like I find that like a good balance. Like I eventually always come out of my shell a little bit and like let stuff slip and like end up becoming like a good locker room hire. But I always try to like be a little cagey when I'm new at a job because I don't want, like I've set expectations before, and like people will be like, oh, he's nice, he's helpful, he'll fucking take the extra step to do. Like, yes, I like doing that. I like being helpful to my coworkers. I like I'm making a decent amount of money doing a pretty easy job. Like I can do a little bit more, but also like I don't want to be asked all the time to hang. Like I want to be in that like, hey, keep inviting me, but I don't want to feel like I'm obligated to go to things because I have things to do. Like on Thursday, I worked last Wednesday and Thursday last week, and since I'm cool, I got invited to going out to drinks with everybody after work on Thursday. I wanted to go hit an open mic because I had shows Friday last night. I was supposed to. We'll get there, and then maybe today. So like I wanted to like be in the mix with that. You know, I needed to get a set in at an open mic, and going to get fucking Korean food. I think it was Korean. At like in Wicker Park wasn't gonna be like conducive to that, so I had to say no. And like I don't drink, and like I like Ashley was in town or like coming back in town or was in town for the day, and like so it was like good to like hang out and like go do a mic and like chill and then like get some sleep before I have to drive to fucking Michigan and back. And like nobody was pissed about it. Like it was day 2, got the invite. It was like, hey, I don't really drink and I got shit to do, but like, hey, at some point we'll figure this out. Like so I like being in that mix. Like I like that good middle ground. So like I would have said no anyways because I don't need to be like, because then eventually you get dragged into like the crew, and then when one of them fucks up, they're like, hey Ray, you know this person. Like what? No, like I don't want to be responsible for other people. Even though my job's a supervisor role. So like I did a bad job at that, but it pays more. And like by the time they figure out maybe I'm not good at being in charge, I'll get like a month of work under my belt. And they'll be like, well, we like him. He's not a dickhead during the day. When we work during the week, maybe he's just not. Like, if I get hired to do the during the week stuff where it's like cleaning and organizing and like doing dumb little shit around the suites instead of like having to like actually deal with them, that'd be ideal. That'd be great. Like working there during the week instead of having to do the events is awesome. Like the opposite of comedy. Like everybody wants to do the shows. Like doing the big shows is what it's about. But like doing open mics, I mean, they're fun. I've gotten like very used to doing open mics and having fun at them. And it's like good to hang with people and you stay like fresh or whatever. But like that's the practice, right? Like high school football, nobody wants to do practice every single fucking day, but like Friday nights, that's when it is, or like Saturday mornings, or like Thursday, whenever you do like your games. I quit playing football after freshman year, so like Thursdays were like the game, like that's what you're doing it for. Or when I played rugby, like we had practice Monday, Tuesday, played Wednesday, and then they tried to like do a practice on Friday as well. And it's like nobody's going to the Friday practice. The game was Wednesday, we practiced Monday, Tuesday. Like that's a perfect amount of practice. None of us are going pro. Why the fuck do I need to be here all that much? Like I understand practicing to get better at something, but like 5 days a week for teenagers to go play with balls, like I love football, and I understand that some people can go pro and all that other shit, but like, all right, I don't need a full-time job or a part-time job after school. I have a part-time job. I don't need a part-time job on top of my part-time job. You know what I mean? Yeah, we'll recap some shows, I guess. Since I did this, so this past Thursday wouldn't have been it. Since last Thursday, I'm recording on my phone. So I don't know exactly where I've been. I've had a decently, not super busy month so far. We could do this past weekend though. I mean, this week was very, very fun. Monday had to go to, what did I do Monday? Oh man. I wasn't able to go to my usual Monday mic. I think I had a show, apartment show. I had an apartment show where this rude fucking guy, okay, here we go. Now I remember. Apartment show. Like, we get it. Not everybody wants to do comedy. Not everybody wants to go to a comedy show. You show up to, like, these apartment shows to get, like, free food and drinks. But don't be, like, a menace, right? And I was, like, hosting it, so, like, you go up cold to the crowd. And, like, you just get the fucking ball rolling. And, like, it's always, like, super awkward until people, like, get used to, like, the cadence of a comedy show and, like, the idea that comedy's there. And it started at, like, 6:15. It's supposed to start at 6, but, like, whatever. But, like, it was supposed to start, or, like, it started while the sun was still out. And it's, like, in a rumpus room, or, like, a rec room. Nobody calls it a rumpus room. And, like, their little rec room, like, by their pool. And, like, nobody, like, yeah, some of the people are there having fun, but, like, a guy was sitting on the couch, like, right in front of me while I'm talking, and then, like, did voice to text. And I was like, hey, man, does your phone, like, not do regular texting? Because that's kind of insane to voice text in the front row of a comedy show. Like, I understand that this isn't, like, a real comedy show, but do you understand how crazy it is? Like, I have equipment to be louder than you for a reason. Like, I'm the one who's supposed to be talking. Like, text somebody. You don't need to voice text, you fucking nard. Like, what are we doing here? Like, the lack of awareness. That guy would be great. Like, he should be internet famous. See, that's probably why he's rich. He doesn't have that awareness to be like, oh, other people are around here. I'm not the most important thing. Like, he's probably able to fuck other people over. But, like, I get done, and then it's, like, in this little kitchen area that we're standing, and then a comic goes up. She's very funny. She does well. And then, like, before she leaves, I see this guy go over to her, and he's like, you're very brave for doing this, which is never, like, a good line to be telling anybody. And then he, like, sees me, and he's like, hey, excuse me, are you the guy hosting this? And he's, like, an effeminate gay gentleman. So, like, it's not... Like, it's kind of important to it because, like, you know how sometimes they can be, like, sassy mean, but, like, also, like, trying to be, like, nice? Like, when black women kind of give you shit, like, where they'll just, like, they'll serve you truth, but, like, in a snarky way, so, like, you're not feeling bad about it, but, like, hey, this is your warning shot. Get your shit together before I have to, like, be sassy mean, instead of just, like, a little snarky to get you in line. It's, like, the same thing. And he's like, hey, are you the host for this? And I go, yeah. And he's like, you guys should stop doing this. Like, this is very cringe. And I was like, okay, well, you can not be here. And he's like, well, I wanted to be down here for the drinks and to talk to my friends. And I was like, okay, you can talk to your friends somewhere else. And he's like, yeah, but why do you do these? And it's like, because they pay money and, like, the apartment building wants to, and all of these people enjoy it. You're just being a problem. Like, you don't have to be here. And, like, him and, like, a chick from the apartment place kept talking, and I wanted to be like, hey, what the fuck? Like, the people that live there kept turning around and looking at them, and they were, like, not getting the awareness that, like, yeah, you guys are having fun, but, like, these people are trying to have fun with this thing that they're paying for with their rent. So I did that, and then went and did a good old-fashioned high mic at the late Monday mic. That was very fun. Tuesday, I don't think I did anything. I went and signed up for Laugh Factory, but didn't get on that one. Hung out at the other mic. Didn't do a set because, like, the line was too long. Then Wednesday, Thursday worked. Thursday night went to the thing. Then yesterday, because today's Sunday. Yesterday did Friday is what we're talking about. Went to Pentwater, Michigan. Officially on my short list of towns I want to retire in, because it's an insane place. It's one of those, like, fun little lakeside towns that I like performing in because, like, I don't know, like, if you get a good one, like Saugatuck I did last month, the one where, like, people from my hometown randomly showed up and I didn't know them. That sucked because they're, like, stuffy white people who are, like, there to just waste money, and then, like, oh, let's go to a comedy show. They're probably going to talk about farts or something. Like, whatever people who don't laugh at comedy shows find funny. Like, when you go to a show and they're like, we thought this was a comedy show. Like, what are you looking for is my question. Like, what do you think comedy is? I understand that, like, maybe my comedy's not for you. That's great. But like, what are you looking for? Like, are you looking for? Because like, you say you don't want to talk about politics, but then as soon as somebody makes fun of like the person you're not voting for, you're all in on it. You say like you don't like PC's killing whatever. So okay, I'm gonna start making fun of you don't like Jesus jokes. Like, what do you add a comedy show for? Like, do you have fun just like not having fun? Like, do you spend the money to go somewhere so later, like throughout the rest of the night, you can be like, well, I can't. Fucking Susan dragged me to this comedy show, and like I could have done that. Like, is that like what you're spending money for, just to like be mad? Like, what are you trying to do? Like, whose idea is this? To like not, it's the same as like the guy. Like, nobody's making you go to these things. You can be like a problem somewhere else for free. Like, nobody's making. You could have been a bump on the log at home. You can be a negative piece of shit in the comfort of your own home. Nobody's stopping you from doing that. Not until Kamala's president. Then they'll be in your homes telling you what to do. Whatever. Ripping babies out of your stomach. I love. But on the way to Pentwater, beautiful. Like, this was the opposite. There were like 100 people in this little basement bar, and like, in Michigan, there's like 1 million billboards on like, hey, vote for Kamala Harris. And like, by the end of it, I was like, how much are we spending on fucking billboards? Like, are billboards gonna get it done, Like, what are we gonna do, La? Like, what are we doing, Kamala? Like, why are we putting money into billboards? And like, people are gonna be mad when you lose. Like, it's so funny. And then But I mean, it was a fun show. Like, the headliner didn't get there until like 10 minutes after the show was supposed to start. The guy hosting the show wasn't even supposed to host the show, but he did. His name was Captain Mike. He was a very cool dude. I talked to him at the bar. He used to be like the president of Universal in Nashville. I think it was Universal. Like, one of the fucking record companies. He was the he was the president of like the Nashville branch. And he was like, and he goes, I don't want to like name drop. And I was like, please name drop. Like, you're the most interesting person I've ever talked to in one of these towns. Like, you gave up being the president of Universal in Nashville before like country music like blew up again. And now you like charter fishing boats in like this nowhere fucking town in Michigan. Like, you're the most interesting person in the entire world. But like, he signed the fucking Gin Blossoms. Like, he went on tour with them for their first album, like from place to place. And then he also who was the other? Blues Traveler. Just like lightly dropped Blues Traveler. Like, I haven't been in a huge Blues Traveler kick for like a long time. Like, most of my life. Like, Caroline, I was like, you signed Blues Traveler. He was like, yeah, whatever. And I was like, no, fuck you, whatever. Like, the Carolina Blues is like one of my favorite songs right now. And he's like, oh, that's cool. And like, I forget some of like these country people that he signed. And like, the reason why he doesn't work for them anymore is like, during the pandemic, he was still paying people because like during the time when they couldn't tour. And like, he was still paying them, and they were like, yeah, you can't do that. And he's like, okay, well, if I can't do that, I'm gonna like retire early, which is like a baller move. Like, you don't hear that. But I said on stage, I was like, of course I meet like the most well-connected person I've ever met in any business 5 years too late. Like, if he would have like, if he was still in the business and just like on vacation, cool. Like, maybe he could like get me in touch with somebody that could help my fucking career. But no, he's like super useless to me at this point. Very nice guy. So I hate saying useless because like, what am I really gonna just like meet a fucking president from Universal and then just like be like showbiz famous after a show in Pentwater, Florida? I don't know why I keep saying Pentwater, Florida. Pentwater, Michigan. No, that's not going to happen. But if it did, that'd be super cool. And like this little basement, they like had 4 shows with Pauly Shore, and they said he just was like not cool. Like, they had so many people walking out, even though they sold out all 4 shows. It was a very strange place. Like, it was very nice, very pretty. Cell phones don't work there, obviously. But it was like a very weird very fun. But like the show was great. I had a great time. There was like a girls' night. They were a lot, but like they were very fun and having a good time. Then there were just like literally two people who didn't enjoy my set, and like somebody at like a table flicked them off for me because like this lady, I said something, and she goes, "That's the funniest thing you've said all night," and I was like, "Well, everybody else in the room would beg to differ, honestly, because like usually, like even the stuffy white people up front, that like started not liking me were in on like the whole thing. Like by the time I got them in, they were in, and like they turned around and flicked the lady off, and then I'm like doing my finishing joke, and like. I don't usually end on my like Mr. Christ if you're nasty bit anymore, but like I felt like that room that was a good one to get out of, right? And I just like brought it up, and somebody's like, "At least Jesus got nailed," and I was like, "Are you for fucking real right now? Like it's the same table that says they didn't like me. Now you're chiming in and making it go longer." Like that's what I told them. I was like, "This is my last joke, and like if you would have shut the fuck up, like I would have been off stage by right this second." Like, if you wouldn't have said anything, none of this would have been happening. I would have been gone. You would never have had to talk to me ever in my entire life. So I want to invite everybody at that table to go fuck themselves. And then that's when the table in front of them turned around and flicked them off again. And everybody was on my side. And I was like, I'm sorry. I know that there's a lot of people at that table. I can't see you because of, like, the lights being on me. Because I get paid to be here. You paid to be here. But those two people who don't like me, they can go fuck themselves. And then, like, that got a real good laugh. Which is always weird, because, like, I try not to do that very often. It bites me in the ass from time to time. Like, there are certain clubs I can't work again because I've told people to go fuck themselves when the club doesn't do a good job controlling them. Looking at you. Comedy club based in a city that rhymes with Kenosha. In Wisconsin. I don't know. They're pretty famous for a rascal shooting people during protests, you know, like that town. And it's not like anything, like you'd be able to find it. Like just Google that town and comedy club and you're seeing what I'm dealing with. That's where I'm having a hard time getting booked because I told the guy to shut the fuck up. Because the headliner narked on me. Because I murdered and told the guy to shut the fuck up and then like instantly got him back on my team. Cause like he was a guy we were going back and forth together, like at each other, at a moment. And it was like all in fun. And then like I was telling a joke and I hit the punchline while he was like talking, to somebody else. And like the whole room laughed and he's like, "Hey, I missed it." And I was like, "Well, if you shut the fuck up for a minute, at any point in the show, you would hear the thing." And then he laughed and stopped talking. Like he was like, "All right, you're right. Like this is, now I'm seeing like the consequences of my actions." That's what I'm looking for. Like he's like, "Okay, now I see it. Now we'll shut up." And then the show moved on. And then like then the headliner goes up, was not good. He won like 2018's best dad joke. Like I don't even remember this guy's name. And he won 2018's best dad joke or some shit like that. And so like we were like matched together. We were set to get along. But like he like people in Kenosha, I almost said it. People in that town should have loved him. But like people were like leaving the room to come sit with me out at the bar. Because I was just kicking it. Like I watched some of his comedy. It wasn't for me. So instead of like being a distraction, because people were like legitimately trying to talk to me during his set. So I go out into the bar and people would go out for drinks and then they would like, I had 10, 15 people around me telling me how like I should be, whatever. I'm not sucking my own dick on it, but I had to be like, "Guys, I understand what you're doing. You think that this is helpful. Like, I appreciate all the nice things you're saying, but like this makes me look really bad." And the bartender is the owner's wife. So like, please go back in the thing. Like, we can talk after the show. So then like when I go back to the club the next day, the first thing that the owner says, like, "Oh, I heard you told somebody to shut the fuck up." And the only person in the room who would have said anything about it was the headliner. And I was like, "Oh, okay. Like, hey, whatever. Sorry about it. Like, the guy, this is what happened." He goes, "Oh, well, that's not as bad as I thought it was." And I was like, "No, he had a good time. He fucking bought merch from me later. Like, he's going to come back because of that." And he's like, okay, cool, fine. And he was like, well, some other people. And I was like, well, nobody said anything to me about it. Like, the only person I could see being upset would be the headliner, because he fucking bombed after me. And the first thing the headliner said to me in the green room was like, oh, are we going to tell somebody to shut the fuck up again? I was like, oh, you did, you narked on me. So now I don't get picked to work there anymore because I'm a little bit of a wild card for that room. But Pentwater, Michigan thinks that I'm tasteful. They came up, they came up to me and like the headliner, Will Green, I believe was his name. He's out of Lansing. His credits, whatever. He's very funny. I like him a lot, but it's like one of those like very funny. Oh, like these are like this is what you can write down as credits. Okay. That's great. And but he was very good, and like some guy came up to us afterwards. He was like, yeah, the last people here were a little more raunchy. You guys were very tasteful. And I was like, I've never heard tasteful as being part of my comedy. So that's good. Like I've had people who from when I do Northwest Ohio shows who won't show up because some of the things I talk about are too risque, and it's like, shut the fuck up. Like, the reason why I'm fucked up is I grew up around you fucking idiots, just day drinking all the time. Like, you literally had a coke problem my entire childhood, and you're gonna tell me what I'm talking about is too risque? Like, none of the people, like, the parents of, like, the group that I grew up with, like, most of them couldn't have real jobs because they had substance abuse issues. Like, they were alcoholics who got, like, fired from their job or had, like, a coke problem. Or, like, they just, like, rotated who was going to be the babysitter based off of who could get a job at that time and wasn't fired. And, like, you're going to tell me what I'm talking about is too risque. Like, maybe fucking figure out what you're doing with your life. And, like, if I'm too risque, it's a mirror to, like, what you did to your children and are doing to society. Fuck you, Perrysburg. I am trying to get, like, a show put together there soon. So, like, don't fuck you, Perrysburg, unless you buy tickets. And then I was supposed to have a show in Milwaukee last night that got canceled because nobody bought tickets. But for real, fuck Milwaukee. Because, like, it was going to be my first show back. And I would like to think that it's just coincidence that 0 people bought tickets. Like, could we have promoted it more? Sure. Could we have, like, charged, whatever. Like, we could have done things to make it work. I didn't run the show. I'm not promoting the show. And I'm not sure, like, I'm not saying the promoter did anything wrong. I'm just saying that the show the night before sold out. And it's, like, a 40-seat venue. But it's, like, a roast battle. So, like, either... And I know that this is the answer. I've done the market research. I lived there. People are too fucking stupid in Wisconsin for stand-up comedy. Other than, like, Madison. Certain pockets in Milwaukee are great. But, like, the general public of Wisconsin, unless they're, like, they just, like, had to move there, like, you're unable to, like, comprehend, like, any idea outside of, like, oh, he said something gross, or he said something mean, or you're not supposed to say that, but you say what you're thinking. He says what's on his mind. What he's saying, I'm thinking. And, like, that's why they love roast battles there. And it's, like, it's a lowest common denominator. Like, roasts used to be fun. Like, it's, like, a way that we talk to each other. Like, I cannot write roast jokes because it's, like, how do you bottle something that's perfect? Like a good roast in the moment. There's nothing better. It's so fun. I understand why people like roast battles, but that's, like, our thing. And then to try to commodify it, and then, like, people, like, will go, like, their favorite kind of comedy is roast, like, which is annoying, or, like, roast battling. Like, doing a roast of one person, that's very fun. Where everybody's on, like, the same, like, we're all on the same thing, sure. But, like, roast battles are fucking stupid. And, like, especially, like, if you can sell out a roast battle, or, like, you buy a ticket to a roast battle, but, like, not real comedy, like, what are we doing here? Like, you just like watching people be mean to each other, or you like yelling. Like, okay, cool. Like, that's for you. I'm not here to yuck your yum. Just your yum's fucking stupid. And, like, yeah, you can only understand roast. Like, oh, that person looks like this, or that person's a little different. Like, finally we get to see people tell people that it's weird that they're different. That's why Milwaukee and that's why Wisconsin loves roast so much, is because they can finally just pick on people that look a little weird. Like, it's against your stupid Midwest nice. That makes sense, because you're actually allowed to be like a little bit honest for like once in your life. That's why you like roasting. Okay, I figured it out. I mean, still fuck you. Like, cause like, come to a real comedy show. It's so fun. And like, part of it has to do with like the headliner was black, I'm the feature, the host is black, so I put in the group chat, it's hard to sell an all black lineup in Milwaukee, and the headliner's like, well, let's say that it's 80% because I'm only half, which is a very funny response. But like, obviously, like that has to do with it too. Like, having black people on a flyer to try to sell it, like people aren't gonna buy it because fucking Milwaukee's racist. But I'm back there, November 6th. Come to that show, you fucking losers. I hate you and your entire goddamn state. No, I actually love Wisconsin. The people that I've met in Wisconsin that are good people are the best people I've ever met. And I know I harped on this before I left, but like the people that I've met in Wisconsin that are bad people are literally the worst people. Because like, you know that like if you're not doing something to be the change, you're against the change. They're like actively like not against the change, but like, hey, it's none of my business that racism or sexism or that like anything happens. They're like, we just live in Wisconsin and that's not for us to deal with. And it's like, it takes all of us, you fucking nards. Don't you watch the NFL? Of which I'm skipping right now to make this podcast. So I hope you understand how important you are to me. Podcast fucks. I'm supposed to maybe be on a show here in a few hours. So I gotta wrap this up to get this rolling. So, this is how like life is it's just like, I don't know what I'm doing any particular day. It's kind of, it's not stressful. Stressful is not the word. Chaotic is the word. And that's why I like having a job, is like now I have to be like, all right, cool. I'm not just living until Thursday to do a show. Like I have stuff to do Wednesday as well. Like it's not just like burning daylight until it's nighttime to do mics, which is great. Like, I mean, that's kind of the whole, that's what we're going for. But like we need more money and would like to do it more often. Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. I just petted you because I love you. I don't know if you guys get to see this guy or not. I don't think I put him into the frame, but he is so cute. Get in some bellies. whoisredroberts.com, at whoisredroberts on everything. Dates. Next Thursday, I am doing a private show next Thursday. Saturday, I am in somewhere in Michigan again. So for a one-nighter that's like said to be like a blue-collar kind of white trash bar is what they said, so that's fun. That'll be a battle. Then the week after that, I'm in Minnesota again, and then I need to fill up my calendar more. So if you book shows, book me. If you want me in your town, do it. Join the email list that's in my bio on Instagrams. And I know most of you, so just text me if you want to be on it. But I think that we'll call that. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we will talk to you later. Goodbye.